Amen. All right. Well, so just to kind of give you a little vision for our fellowship, it's some things I've been thinking about. We've never been a sending church. It was interesting because Calvary Houston, I can't remember exactly when Calvary Houston was established, but Brandy and I ended up being the first couple sent out from Calvary Houston go start a church. And Calvary Houston has sent out many different people to start churches along the way. But our fellowship, that we've been here for 22 years, we've never sent anybody out to actually go start a ministry. That just hasn't been. But though we haven't been a sending church in the sense of directly sending church planters, we've always been a supporting church. And we've been able to do that because all along the way, this fellowship has been very generous. And so because of that money coming in, we're able to support missionaries all around the world. And a few years back, something happened, and some missionaries that we were supporting or some organizations we were supporting was kind of sketchy. The way they were using funds, we were just like, I don't know about this. So what I felt the Lord put on my heart is we don't want to support missionaries anymore who we don't know. There need to be a personal interaction, a personal relationship, either directly through Brandy and I or directly through someone in the fellowship. And so that's where we've changed who we support, only supporting those missionaries that we know directly. And so the Hardings are some of those missionaries. And so before we get into it, this is part of how you're going to decide where you're going to go to have lunch today. Because if you like what you hear up there, everyone's invited to Rose's afterwards. We're not paying for your food, but you're welcome to go and hang out over there. We got to meet the Hardings 2016. Is that correct? Okay, 2016. And I'm going to let them tell a little bit of their story. I'm going to ask them questions along the way, some questions that we've gathered, and just want to give you an opportunity to get to know them better so you can pray for them. Maybe you go on a mission trip over to Portugal and help them with the work that they're doing. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let them introduce themselves.
Okay, can you hear me? Is it on? Hello? It's good?
Okay.
Okay, we are a missionary family that's been living in Portugal for 14 years. We moved there in 2011. We had previously been missionaries in Ukraine. I won't get too much into our story because I think it'll come out during the questions. But we're church planners, so we've started 3 churches in the north of Portugal, and we're connected to a 4th one in the south of Portugal, kind of adopted them. And then there's 2 churches in Spain that we're connected with. And all that to say, our vision, it's kind of crazy, but we're just going to go for it, is that we want to start 72 churches on the Iberian Peninsula, which consists of Portugal and Spain.
How many churches?
72.
Okay, all right.
We got 6, so we'll only need 66 more. But what's funny, and this is how you know the Holy Spirit is doing something. Brandy, you picked a picture of us. Why did you pick that picture?
Because I was trying to update this wall a little bit, trying to keep everybody informed a little bit more. And so then I, in a scramble, just went through y'all's social media. And I was like, oh, this looks like a good picture, even though I could tell the girls were a lot younger in this picture. But I was like, it seems like a good picture. And then I just went with it because I was doing however many of those there are back there.
So that picture is in the city that we are wanting to start a church in this November.
It's like 8 years.
And it's like 8 years old.
Wow.
So that's okay. So we know the Lord is telling us to go start. It's a city called Aveiro. It's 45 minutes south of us. They call it the Venice of Portugal because there's a canal there. That's the only reason.
Tell them about the boat that's there, the one boat.
There's a boat that takes people through the canal. It's not really. If you've been to Venice, you're like, what? This is not really Venice. But okay, so we won't share too much more because it'll come out during the Q&A.
Okay, all right. Well, you want to introduce everybody else?
Oh, this is my wife, Diana. We've been married 27 years in this past June. Our oldest daughter, Isabella, and our youngest, Victoria.
Yeah. And we did find out and kind of talking. We've been hanging out. We've known each other for quite a while, and Brandon and I talk quite a bit on the phone, and I would consider Brandon my main mentor because he's slightly older.
Yeah.
But we do find out that Brandy and I have been married 2 months more than they've been married, so we're the marriage mentors.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good. Okay, we'll jump right into it. So let me ask you guys, who can serve as a missionary?
So, and this is kind of important to know if you ever have it on your heart to maybe one day be a missionary. You have to be called. There's so many people that go to the mission field that are not called, and it's just nothing but problems. So that's one side of it. The other side of it is if you are called, you need to go be a missionary. So you need to know whether you're called, and if you are, you need to go. If you're not, you can support those that go. So there's too many people that are staying that should be going, and there's some that are going that should be staying.
Yeah. That's what I've heard. You know, there are those who were sent and those who just went.
Yeah.
And so
We had one of those in Ukraine where a young woman, in Europe, they have the dates kind of backwards from us. They put the month, the day first, then the month.
Yeah.
So this girl had a visa to go to Ukraine, and the date, she read the date as April 5th, but her visa didn't start until May 4th. So she arrived in Ukraine with all her belongings to be a missionary, and Ukraine at that time especially was very serious about these things. Within an hour, they put her back on a plane and sent her home. And normally, like, we had a situation where I didn't have a visa for Isabella. I tried to, that's a different, long story, but I tried to smuggle her into the country.
like in luggage or?
Yeah, pretty much. But they gave us a visa, which was kind of shocking.
Okay.
But this girl had a legal visa, but it didn't start at the right time, so they sent her home. And when the girl came back, she caused nothing but problems because she went without being called. And so you need to be called, and if you're called, go. If you're not called, stay.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about, so what was your experience in the Ukraine?
Ukraine, we went there, we were part of the missions to Ukraine for about 8 years, 3.5 full-time.
So what years were?
We started doing ministry there in 1998 to about 2005, or 97, 98.
Okay.
And it was shortly after the walls came down or communism fell. And so it was like going back in time 100 years, very poor. Vodka was cheaper than water, for example. So you see old guys drunk, fighting. Like, you think, oh, that's not. I mean, literally, like 60-year-old guys fist fighting in the middle of the street at 10 o'clock in the morning, all the time.
Wow.
But for the gospel, it was amazing because we can just, like last night, we went to watch you sing. And if we did that in Ukraine, we would get a crowd of like 200 people, and we could just share the gospel. And so many people would get saved through that. In Portugal, it's a little different. But there, at that time, it was just a neat season of openness after communism fell. So there was a lot of people getting saved at that time.
What about you, Dinah? Do you have any experiences with Ukraine you want to share?
Our time in Ukraine, of course, had its challenges, especially with the big cultural differences, but the people were very open at that time to receive the gospel, like Brandon said, and they were very curious about us as Americans living over there. And so to be able to establish relationships was very easy, and to be able to share the gospel was very easy. There was a great openness.
Yeah, the kids would come up and get our autographs because we're Americans. That's true.
You'd sign their Bibles.
Yeah.
You know.
So my time there in Ukraine was different because my daughters were just babies, and so my part of the ministry was different, but so it was different dynamic, but very, had its challenges, but great rewards as well.
Okay.
What do you girls think about your time in Ukraine?
Yeah. Do you have no memories? Okay. Why did you guys come back from the Ukraine?
It was, like everything kind of goes, as a missionary especially, you never know how long the mission's going to last. And that mission, the Lord said, okay, it's time to go. And we knew we were still supposed to be missionaries, but we ended up staying in California for almost 6 years before he sent us to Portugal. So it was like, we thought, okay, we're going to be sent right back to the field a year after we get back, but just there was reasons why we needed to stay. And yeah, it was just like, you know, in Portugal, we have a vision, but the Lord could say, okay, you're going to complete part of that vision. You just, as a missionary, you always have to be flexible to know when the Spirit is leading you to move on or to stay.
Okay. Yeah. So we talked about that a little bit yesterday about just being flexible on the
Yeah.
mission field. And so why is that so important to be flexible in the mission field?
Diana?
Anybody can jump in. Come on. And you can leave it on.
So it's important to be flexible on the mission field because we discover it's like God has a plan and a purpose for our work there. And sometimes what we might have in mind isn't necessarily what God has. So should he bring something along and want us to minister or serve in a different way, it's necessary to be flexible. And so that's been something that we've learned and walked through, me personally too, through the years of being on the mission field.
And so, for example, when we first came there, we were like, we're going to go plant a church in Portugal to the Portuguese. That was our goal, that was our mission, that was our passion, and it did not happen. So we started off in an international church, a Calvary Chapel that was English speaking.
What year was this?
2011.
2011. Okay.
And so we had a great year there. It was the south of Portugal. But we're going to go to the north where the Portuguese are. The south is more international, a lot of retirees from Northern Europe and England. And so we're going to go north for the Portuguese. And for 2 years, almost 2 years, we tried to minister to the Portuguese, and it just didn't work. Like everything we tried just didn't work. We really underestimated how much of a hold, so there's a Catholic country, but they're nominal Catholic, except the older generation, they're faithful, but everybody else, middle-aged, young people, are not engaged with the church. But because it's a cultural thing and a family thing, for them to leave the Catholic Church or go to another church, they'll be betraying their family, their culture, their country. So there's a big pull on them. So it's very hard to minister to them. So not wanting to go to or do ministry in English, we wanted to minister in Portuguese. The Lord sent us to another broken English or international church. So, but that church, we needed a ministry, and that church needed help. And so we had to be flexible. We had to give up what we thought we were there for in order to help this church. And then after some years, Lord called us to start some Calvary chapels up there, where we have both people now. So now, because we were flexible, it allowed us to now do what we felt we've wanted to do all along.
Okay. And so when did you start planting Calvary chapels?
2018 was our first one.
Okay.
We started our second one in 2023, and then the third one in 2024.
Okay. But there's 6 now going?
That we're connected with.
Connected with. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
That we're counting as part of the 72.
Okay, okay, yeah. If you got to get to 72, you got to
Yeah.
do some creative, accounting.
Hey, there's a church over there. We're going to count.
Okay, so how's your Portuguese coming?
Girls?
Well, Isabella and I, we didn't go to a Portuguese school. We didn't have like proper Portuguese lessons, so we learned by being immersed in the community, through playing sports and just being around other Portuguese kids. And for our homework, because we were homeschooled, we had to watch cartoons in Portuguese. And so yeah, that's how Isabella and I learned.
Yeah. So how old were you guys when you guys moved to Portugal?
I was 8.
And I was 9.
Okay, all right. So you talked about sports, right? We got to mention sports. So tell us about the sport you guys play.
But just to say that all 3 of them speak fluently.
Okay.
And if there's like a fluency line, like I'm a hair above it.
Above it.
Just above it.
Okay. We'll take your word for it.
The girls make fun of my Portuguese all the time.
Okay. So before we get to sports, I want to talk about y'all sports for a minute. So during service, like what does that look like for you guys translating?
Oh, so just so you guys know, we have in our churches, one church is only in Portuguese, and it's mostly Brazilians. And we'll explain the makeup of Portugal right now because it's important for its future. The other 2 churches are a mix of some that only speak English and some that only speak Portuguese. So mostly everything we do is in 2 languages. Smaller ministries, we will only be in 1 language. Like we have a women's Bible study in Portuguese, and we have our midweek study in one of our churches is only in Portuguese. We have other ministries only in English, so we have translators. And in our second church, the girls are translators. So I teach in English, and the girls translate into Portuguese. So they translate from their first language to their second language, which was really hard.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they're amazing.
Something else about the two language, the bilingual churches. On a Sunday, like Brandon explained, the preaching will be in English and translated to Portuguese. And we were coming up with space issues because more people were attending the churches. And so we had considered separating Sunday services to one in English and one in Portuguese. And when we spoke with our congregation about this, no one wanted to separate. And so it's a special thing about our church that they like to have the two languages together and to learn. So our Portuguese speakers are wanting to learn English, and our English speakers are wanting to learn Portuguese. And it's a great witness to those around us, different cultures, and even with different languages, we're one in Christ. And there's a neat family within that.
Yeah. And so Brandy and I when we were over there in, I guess, December of 23,
Yeah.
something like that, then I was able to teach, and then the girls translated, and or Isabella translated. And it was interesting, too, because in worship, they'd have an English worship song and then a Portuguese worship song, an English worship song and a Portuguese worship song. And so it was a really neat dynamic. But let's come back to the sports for just a minute. So tell us about the sports you guys play.
So the sport that I've been playing since I was
You
11.
guys been playing.
Well, I'm currently playing it. Victoria stopped playing it a year ago. It's called team handball or Olympic handball. And to give a very simple explanation of what it is, it's like soccer and basketball mixed together. It's like instead of kicking the ball into net, you throw the ball. And then like basketball, you could dribble, you pass. It's very aggressive, very fast-paced, and it's really exciting and fun to play. It's like the best sport, in my opinion, for women to play. And yeah, it's very popular there.
Okay, awesome. You didn't add anything to that?
Not really. I mean, it is just really aggressive.
Yeah.
But
So you guys like that part of it?
Yes.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, so let's go back to the makeup of the country. You mentioned that a little bit, and it's something that I wasn't prepared for, just how dynamic the makeup is.
So for many years, we were like the only Americans. I mean, there was others, but like we didn't see any like North Americans there. It was mainly people from Europe that were in Portugal. And then about 2017, 2018, there started to be influx of Brazilians and more of an international crowd. But the Brazilians are super important because they come from, they speak Portuguese. They're different personality, different culture than the Portuguese, but in some ways similar because Portugal started Brazil, and now Brazilians are coming back. But they're coming by the thousands. And so, and they have an openness to the gospel and come from a culture of going to church. I liken it to like if we share the gospel, like you're fishing, the bait is the gospel. The Portuguese will look at it, study it, maybe nibble at it, but they won't necessarily bite for a long time. Where the Brazilians just jump in the boat.
Just straight into the boat.
Their doctrine is a little crazy in a lot of ways, but they're coming and they're going to churches. And what's neat about this, and the Portuguese are kind of not upset, but a little frustrated by all these people coming to their country, especially the Brazilians, but their kids are going to be growing up as Portuguese. Like we have 45% of our morning church is Brazilian, only 10% Portuguese. So all the kids but the Brazilian kids are growing up as Portuguese kids, and they're in the Portuguese school system. They're speaking with a Portuguese accent. They're identifying as Portuguese, and they're Christians. And so there's going to be more Christians in the school system than in any time in the history of Portugal. And they're going to be able to evangelize their friends, their Portuguese friends, and invite them to churches. And the same thing is happening in Spain with the Central and South Americans who are open to the gospel. Their kids are grown up Christian, and they're grown up in Spanish, so they're going to be able to reach the native Spanish, which are harder to reach now. And so the next generation, we're going to have all these little evangelists in the school systems. And we just want to have the churches ready, planted throughout the Iberian Peninsula, ready to receive what we believe is going to be a great harvest.
If I can add, years ago, the Lord put it on our hearts once we realized that the culture of Portugal was different from our experience in Ukraine. Ukraine, it was easy to share the gospel, for people to receive the gospel. And in Portugal, they're a lot more reserved. And though they might, excuse me, be curious about us, they don't outwardly go out of their way to ask questions. And so early on, the Lord put it on our hearts, like, this is going to be a long-term mission to reach the Portuguese, that we have to have the long vision for it. And so knowing that early on has kind of helped us to be steadfast and not lose heart. And in the meantime, like Brandon explained, all of the Brazilians have been coming in, and they're an easier field to reach. And so that's been something that was helpful for us to understand that we may not be the ones directly reaching the Portuguese and bringing many to salvation, but we're laying the foundation for those who would. And we could never have imagined that 14 years ago, but the Lord had it all in mind from the beginning.
That's awesome.
But it's the greatest time in the history of Portugal and Spain to do ministry there. The Spirit is moving. The Billy Graham Association has been there 3 times doing ministry there in 14 years. First time ever. And it's just interesting how, almost like every country has a time that the Holy Spirit is really moving in. And I think this is the time for Portugal and Spain, more than any other in history. And so it's a wide open field. We need more laborers, but there's a wide open field. And the world is changing, and the people are moving to different places. It's almost like the Roman Empire during Paul's day. And we're there, and we're just getting to see the Lord do some amazing things in a way that you would not expect. We never would have thought this is how it would be. That's why we need, you need to be flexible.
Yeah.
But the Lord is doing some amazing things there.
Very good. So with all that in mind, what are some ways that like this fellowship or other fellowships can help you guys, support you guys, be involved in your ministry, any of those things?
If you're called to pastor, come start a church.
We're still 66 away.
Yeah. No, just, I think taking interest and praying, and prayer does an amazing work. And I think in our second church, we have a really neat prayer team that I think a large part of it, that church has grown so fast, so quickly. And there's so many neat people there that I think a large part of it was because this faithful prayer team. And so I think prayer moves mountains, and it's something that we need tremendously, is prayer.
Just a little bit more about that. Your prayers, it's like Pastor Chuck had read in one of his books on prayer. It's like we can't necessarily go everywhere to impact a place, but through our prayers, we can pray to God who can impact and, like Brandon said, move mountains. And there is a great spiritual attack and spiritual opposition over there in Portugal and even Spain, the Iberian Peninsula, because we do see there's a stronghold upon the Portuguese and the Spanish, and the Lord is wanting to bring the light of the gospel. And kind of like what we sang, the name of Jesus has power. And so your prayers and intercessory prayers really make a big difference and impact. It can open doors that we need open. It can move hearts of people that we're praying for. And that's a great way to support us while we're over there.
Awesome. Very good. All right, I'm going to bring Isabella and Victoria back in here. All right, is it hard to make friends in Portugal?
Um, I would say over the years we've had a lot of acquaintances and like shallow friendships. Just it is a different culture, and just being foreigners, it is a little different. But as we've gotten older, we've been able to make more deep friendships, in our church and in other ways. So I'd say in some ways yes, but I think that God brought the right friends at the right time into our lives.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice. Is that, you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. What do you guys do for fun?
Well, besides playing handball,
And beating up girls, it sounds like.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
no, and handball.
my dad and we go and watch a lot of soccer matches. Soccer is a really huge part of the culture and community there, and it's a fun way to get involved. So we watch a lot of soccer. I we go hang out with our friends a lot. Going to cafes, the cafe culture is really like a big thing there. So we'll just go and have a coffee with friends, and we'll just spend hours there talking. So that's some of the things that we do for fun.
Okay. Awesome. And then I'll ask one more before I let you guys off the hook. So what challenges do you think teens and young adults face in that country, in Portugal?
Well, they have a lot of stress and anxiety from their classes and their studies. Just the education there, they're always studying, always preparing for some test or other. And it's just not a very good, it's not organized in a very efficient way. They're always tired, always anxious, and stressed, worried about their studies or homework. And then when they get their degrees, when they graduate from university, there's no jobs for them. So a lot of young people have left Portugal and are leaving Portugal because they just don't have any jobs, and they have to get jobs outside of Portugal. So studies, the universities or classes, that's where they get a lot of stress and anxiety from.
If I could add real quick. And then once, they do graduate and they're, getting a job, whether or not it's in their field, it's hard for them to make money to support themselves. So Portuguese tend to live with their parents until they're in their 30s or until they're married, because it's hard to make money there.
Okay. All right. So very, very different from how things are here in the States. Okay. Let's shift gears for a minute. Well, ask Brandon and Diana, what is one piece of advice you would tell your younger self about missions?
Be flexible and patient.
Flexible and patient. Okay.
That God, it's interesting how the Lord will get you, he'll give you a burden, a desire for something, and then he'll have you start moving or acting in it, and get you to a place, but then his real plan will unfold. And I think he does that because if you knew the real plan, you're like, no way, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going that. I'm not
Yeah,
going there.
we've talked a lot over the last few days, and we were joking about that the Lord tricks you, quote unquote, and gives you a leading to something, and you commit to it, and then he's like, he reveals the veil of what's really there. And so we obviously know theologically God doesn't trick people, but he also is not willing to give you the full information, because all of us, right, if we were to see how life is going to play out and our commitments and those things, we would maybe not get out of bed in the morning. And so it's that step-by-step faith.
Yeah, because if he would have told us, okay, the first half of your ministry, you're going to be working with international churches, only English-speaking churches, people from all over the world, but not really Portuguese, and you're going to struggle some as well. I don't know if we would be like, oh yeah, let's go. That's what we want, because our burden was for Portugal and the Portuguese people, and that didn't really start to unfold until halfway through our 14 years there. And so, if he told us that at the beginning, I don't know if we would have been so eager to go or would have gone. But we would tell our younger selves is just go and don't put your expectations on the Lord. Let the Lord dictate what he wants to do with your life day by day. And save yourself a lot of trouble.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so let's say somebody feels called to go out and start a long-term mission. Like, what kind of resources are needed to move in that direction?
So what I heard you say was that what would someone do if they want to start a church in Portugal?
If you want to take it that way, yeah, that's great. That's great.
yeah.
Yeah. Church number 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you need to know that you're, first of all, called, And that usually starts to happen when you have a burden, and the burden just won't go away. And this could be in any ministry or anything the Lord's calling you to do, is that you'll just feel passionate about something, and you won't know why. Like, we didn't know why we went to Ukraine. Just the Lord burdened our heart for it. I'd never thought about Ukraine. I never had a desire to go there. Then one day we did. Like, where did that come from? It
It's
came
like
from a burden.
the Lord uses circumstances to then plant a place on your heart or your mind. And so that's what happened with Ukraine, and then it's what happened with Portugal.
And then he'll confirm it along the way. And I think every long-term missionary started first doing short-term missions. There has never been a long-term missionary that has not gone on a short-term mission trips. So short-term missions is amazing. The churches that host short-term missions don't always love it because it's a lot of work and there's not a lot of fruit generally.
So
from
what I
the
hear you saying, don't go to Portugal for a short-term mission.
No, I'm saying because sometimes someone in that group will end up being a long-term missionary, and so we love short-term missions because we have ways that we can use them to be fruitful. So yeah, it always starts with short-term missions first. Go on a short-term mission trip first.
Very good. Okay, so you guys have come back. This trip that you're on, it's 10 weeks, right, that you're going to be. So other than that, like, how often do you stay in communication with your relatives and friends who live in the U.S. while you're in Portugal?
Some family members every week, others every other month, few months, friends.
The day and age that we live in, it's so easy to keep in communication, even for free through different apps and video call platforms. And so it's really easy to keep in contact with friends and family.
Good. Okay. All right, so we are digging deeper section here. Has there been doubt about your calling during difficult times of ministry?
Every Sunday.
Yeah, fair enough.
I want to
resign every Sunday. After
I'm
service.
quitting this Sunday for sure.
Yeah.
Especially that when we first started our first church in 2018.
Yeah.
The first 6 months, I didn't even like going, and I was the one supposed to be teaching. I'm the pastor, and I'm like, I don't even want to go today.
Yeah.
It was, there's been lots and lots of tough seasons and tough challenges and obstacles, and so I definitely have wavered, and I've wanted to quit probably at least 100 times.
Mm-hmm.
My wonderful wife, never. She's been steadfast from day one. Never wavered. Never said, oh, I'm homesick. Never said, oh, we should go back. Because it's a harder life. But she never wavered. I've wavered, but she's never wavered. And so, yeah.
So take us practically through a Sunday for you guys. Like from start to finish, kind of like how Sundays go. Because it's a pretty wild time.
Yeah, because so right now we're pastoring 2 churches. We're training people to raise them up. As part of our mission is to train people, future pastors, we hope. And so our morning church starts at 11 o'clock. We get there about 9:30, set up and do some things.
And that's in Porto Gaia.
Porto.
Yeah.
It's called Villanova de Gaia, but it's right below Porto. It's
And
Porto
that's
area.
Porto, right? Or that is. I looked it up online, so
Yeah.
that's a picture.
Yeah. So we live 10 minutes from that
Yeah,
area.
we've been on that bridge.
Yeah.
It's,
And then we leave. The service is from 11 to 12:30.
so we're already at 9:30 to 12:30.
Yeah.
You've been there. Okay.
And then we leave about 2 o'clock. And then there's generally still people there, and then we'll have other people close up. We go grab lunch, and then we're on the road at 3:20 to the city 45 minutes north of us called Braga, which is the second biggest city in the north. And we get there around 4:15. And then our service there starts at 5. And we're usually there till between 8:30 and 9. And then it's 45 minutes home. So we get home about between 9:30 and 10 on Sundays. So it's about a 12-hour day.
Yeah. And then you obviously have other things during the week, or men's study, women's studies, different
Right,
things,
so-
special events, women's conferences.
Yeah.
Yes. So on Tuesdays is our day dedicated to go out to the city of Braga, where our second church plant is, to meet with people for discipleship. We have a ladies' Bible study, and the men meet for their Bible study at the same time. And so it's just dedicated to ministering to the church there. And like Brandon said, we're pouring into people, discipling with the purpose of raising up people to ministry. And then on Friday mornings, in Porto, we have the ladies' Bible study in English. Another lady on Tuesday teaches the ladies' Bible study in Portuguese. We have our midweek study.
That's only in I don't teach that one anymore. That's only our assistant pastor teaches that in Portuguese as well.
One really special thing that that has happened through the years is the other people rising up into their calls into the ministry. And so we're able to delegate and then see our people grow, take steps of faith, and sometimes with fear and trepidation, they'll step out, we'll encourage them, and then we get to kind of, as we're wearing many hats as church planners, we're able to take them off and pass them out to those who are gifted and called to take a ministry where it should go. And that's happened with the midweek Bible study, the ladies' Bible study in Portuguese, and just various different ministries.
But we'll probably have a midweek Bible study in English going back that I'll teach. So
Okay.
it's going to be busy.
Yeah, it sounds like a very busy life. Very good. So what do you guys two do anything for fun?
We play a sport called paddle tennis. If you're familiar with pickleball, I don't want to offend your pickleball players, but we believe it's better than pickleball. It's more active. And so we do that. And that's a great way for us to be in the community because it's really popular there in Portugal. So we only play with Portuguese people. So we've been able to share the gospel with some and build friendships with others. And so it's a neat way. So it's like a dual purpose. It's fun, it's exercise, and it's a way for us to interact with the culture and the community. So it's been a huge blessing. The movies, one of the neat things about Portugal is it's very easy for English speakers to live there. It's kind of like a secret that you technically don't even need to learn the language very well to do well there. But we don't tell people that. Because the movies are in English with Portuguese subtitles, and they're really cheap. It's like $6 to go to the movies. And they have really nice theaters. They love shopping malls for some reason. There's 7 shopping malls by where we live, within 20 minutes of where we live. 7. They all go to the food court. They just love doing that. So we go to the movies, we play paddle, we go try different places with coffee.
Nice. Very good. Okay. So we have a little bit of time left. I'm going to actually open up, but an opportunity cost. If you want to ask a question from the audience, because this is something I never do. If you want to ask a question, you have to stand up, though, to ask the question. Anybody? All right, Tony, stand up.
Yeah, I have to stand up. I can't be sitting on.
No, stand up already, Tony. Yeah.
For people that are called to minister, and obviously y'all had a calling to go to Portugal. So how difficult was it for y'all to get visa or permit, whatever, to stay in the country for longer than a traveler's visa, let's say?
That's a great question.
So I'll tell the story. At the time, as the Lord was putting on our heart to go to Portugal, confirming it through different ways, I was reading coming upon articles written in Christian magazines about Portugal being the forgotten country for missions. And also, I was reading at the same time how it was becoming more difficult for missionaries that were there to either receive a visa or continue there. So as we were taking steps of faith at that time to get in contact with the embassy, the Portuguese embassy in California where we're from, I did not want to come out openly and say that I'm asking for a religious visa because we wanted to go over there as missionaries. And so when I called the embassy and I was explaining them, he's all, okay, what kind of visa or what are you going there for? And so I was trying to beat around the bush and say, we're going to volunteer and help. And he's okay, but where and how? I don't even know if I said humanitarian. I don't remember what I said. I wanted to say anything but a religious visa or for religious purposes. And so then basically he came around and he understood and he's all, okay, you need a religious visa. He's all, well, we're going to be helping a church. Yeah. And it was issued. God gave us a religious visa, which allowed us to enter the country and then a request or start the process to receive residency there, to live there as a resident. And so that's kind of the shortened version.
But they didn't give us this visa for a long time, and we didn't know why. Like, usually it's 4 to 6 weeks, and this was already past 7, 8 weeks before we heard anything. Later, we found out why. So that we were connected to a church, and so we gave the pastor and his wife as references, and they never met us, so they took a step of faith with us. But
just real quick. Yeah, so the church there, they had to issue us like a letter of invitation to they're inviting us to come there, so that the government of Portugal, the immigration, knows that we have a connection there.
But the immigration police went to their house and knocked on the door. And the pastor wasn't home, so his wife answered the door. And they started interrogating her, like, who are these people? Why are they coming? Like, talking about us. And she's like, they're just coming to help our church.
We had never met them in person. It was just through email and being, and corresponding with them through email and being interested in Portugal and the work happening there.
Because they don't really understand churches that are not Catholic. It's just not a thing there. So they're interrogating her, and she's like, oh, we have a church down the street. They're like, where is it? So they went to the church to check it out. And it just happened, because it's Calvary Chapel, that there was a couple from a Calvary Chapel in Germany vacationing there. And they just wanted to volunteer and help out, so they were cleaning the church. So the immigration police go into the church, and they see this German couple cleaning. They're like, who are you guys? What are you doing? And they're like, we're from Germany. We're on vacation. We're just cleaning the church. And they thought it was a practical joke.
They thought that the pastor had planned this and made it as a joke.
And so, but the police were confused. They're like, why are you cleaning the church on your vacation? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But that actually helped us get the visa. And we met this couple by accident like 3 years later. Like, oh, it's our fault that you guys got harassed by the police.
Interesting. Wow, that is a wild thing. Okay. Dave, you have a question?
Do you have opportunities for short-term missions in Portugal?
Yes. Come. Yeah.
So how can people get a hold of you guys?
Email is probably the best way, I think.
Okay. Email. And that's on there's a QR code. Do you think?
I can't remember what the QR code goes to.
I think it might go to your website or
It
something.
maybe goes to your Facebook. Is that right? Did you scan it?
No, I see the QR code. I haven't tested it yet.
Scan it and see.
But,
probably
we
go to
have-
like a casino betting site. No.
We have some cards too that have our information and email. So if you're interested, you can see either Brandon or myself, and we'll give you one.
Okay. Very good. All right. So 5-minute warning. Anybody else? Oh, okay, Sammy, come inside.
I had two questions.
Okay.
All right.
The first one's for Diane.
Yeah.
You talked about the women's Bible study on Tuesdays, Portuguese. On your website, there's a picture. It has a Bible and it says something. I'm not sure what it says. What's that mean?
I'll have to take a look.
Oh, Sammy's got his phone out.
We have other people that do the web. We don't
Now,
have
don't
other-
get any big ideas. Next week we're going back to regular service.
It says, Tu és a minha lâmpada, Senhor. So you are my lamp, Lord. Yeah. So it's very similar to Spanish. So if you're a Spanish speaker, you probably understand that. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Sammy, come on, Spanish speaker.
Oh, yeah.
Rick,
My wife, she says that my Spanish is like, Rain Man. One last one.
yeah, what's your second question? Yeah.
For Brandon and your daughter. 'Cause, you know, I know that they're in the Lord. But, you know, they have a Bible, and it says something. I'm not sure what it says. What's that mean?
yeah, and before you do, so just Brandon doesn't make it easy on the daughters because it's more impromptu style of study. Where when I taught over there, I had this, a lot of notes, made it easy on them, So all right, so show them how it's done.
So I would say, good morning.
Bom dia.
Today we're going to talk about
Hoje nós vamos falar sobre
how much of a troublemaker my daughters are.
quão difíceis as minhas filhas são.
They give me nothing but problems every
Elas
day.
dão-me problemas,
They don't listen.
eles não me ouvem,
We always have to tell them to clean the dishes.
estou sempre a mandá-las
Clean
lavar
the
a
house.
louça.
So mostly it's family problems
Yeah.
that are at the churches. Okay.
We,
I
we,
see why
we
you haven't
expose our
sponsored
dirty
church.
laundry to them.
Yeah, just everything. This is how you work out your problems right there.
But if I do, so if I like to joke around because they'll translate especially in the second church, we'll joke around and so I'll make fun of them, but they'll mistranslate it on purpose.
So that's at Braga. That this
Yeah,
happens?
so I'll say like Isabella is terrible, and she'll be like, no, my dad's terrible, and so we'll have fun like that. They'll switch it. So yeah, but I understand what they're saying, so I go, no, you gotta say it the right way. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Teaching, like you have to get used to using a translator, but you also have to get used to not having a translator. So we spoke at another church in California, and I started speaking, and then I paused, and I was just stood there for. Oh wait, there's no translator because you're used to speaking in short sentences, and of course here you don't need to do that. So it's weird. It takes a while to get used to it, and then a while to not have it there.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so y'all can imagine, because y'all know that Steve speaks very quickly. So how it was for him when he was there, having to speak in short sentences and pause, and he could use about half the amount of words in the study, maybe a third of the amount of words in the study that he would otherwise do.
Yeah.
But my question was, for somebody who was interested in going to a short-term mission trip over to Portugal, about how much time would they need, and what type of things might they do there?
Time is like how many days on the trip.
Yeah, like realistically, it takes time to travel over. You would need time to be there.
So yeah, you lose a day traveling to and from. So it's just take that in mind. But anywhere from 7 days to 14 days. 14 may be a little long, but 7 to 10 days is good. And because we have 3 churches, it's really neat. And then we always like to have a team pray over the city that we want to start a church in next. So we'll have teams just go and spend the day praying, walking through the city and praying over it. So there's a lot of work to do, but evangelism. So we like to do, like our goal with the Portuguese, especially the young Portuguese, is just to get them started on their journey to know the Lord. So Portugal and Spain is known as pre-evangelized, meaning they know about God, they know about Jesus, they know about the Bible, but they don't really know the gospel. And probably 99% of the people there have never heard the gospel. If you showed them John 3:16, they would never have read it. It's amazing.
It's, when we do our evangelism, we have our, these conversations with young, like university or high school age Portuguese young people. And we just start a conversation, and they love to talk. And if you're open to listening, you can really enter into a really neat conversation and be able to share about Jesus and the gospel. And oftentimes it's 97% of the young people respond with the same thing. Like they had to go to the Catholic Church, they had to go to catechism because grandma or mom made them. But as soon as they were able to choose for themselves, they stopped going. And when we have them read John 3:16 or Ephesians 2:8 and 9, they've never read those verses, and so there's a great need for them to hear the gospel.
And
they don't know the gospel.
All of our evangelism in English for a reason. One, they like to practice their English because they're the 7th highest country in English proficiency in the world. So the young people, they'll say they speak a little, but they all speak great English. And it allows them to practice, and so sometimes we'll switch to Portuguese, but a lot of it is in English. And just getting people started on their journey. So there's evangelism, there's helping in the different churches, just doing whatever ministry like the team can do. There's praying over cities, and then there's a little fun. We'll do some tourism stuff as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say if the Lord does put on your heart to join them and go over there, you do get a different vision for the ministry seeing it firsthand. It's just completely different. So that's awesome. Okay, we're going to stop here. Obviously, you can talk with the Hardings after service. If you want to join us over at Rose's, then you can do that. And so thank you, guys, for this. And so.